morning, Cambridge Springs Elementary. This is Mrs. Walsh bringing you today's virtual art instruction. Follow along and have a great time. I know we will. I miss you. Today I have a draw along with you I would like to complete, and this is going to be an adorable little penguin in the snow. You're going to need something to draw with. I would suggest you start with pencil so that you can erase if you make any mistakes. I'm going to draw in Sharpie so that you can see it better through the camera. When I draw on pencil, it's kind of difficult to see. So to start with, we need to have a reference point of where to start drawing on our paper. So with your paper in portrait direction, that's tall and skinny, you're going to take the bottom to the top, line them up, and crease, which gives us halfway up the paper. Open it back up flat, and we are ready to begin drawing. We're going to come in about halfway across the paper on the crease, so it's halfway from top to bottom and halfway from side to side. And we're going to start drawing right on that crease a line that will become the penguin's beak. Now, it's about from the tip of my finger to my first knuckle in width. And then I'm going to round the corners down and come to a little point that is also rounded. So that becomes my penguin's little beak. Then we are going to go off the sides of the beak for the eyes. You can get pretty close. Don't want to get too big with these. So it looks a little bit like a cat's nose and big glowing eyes of a cat. Inside those circles for the eyes, I want you to put 2 small circles towards the top. And then I want you to draw a smile from side to side underneath those 2 circles. We're gonna color in completely above the smile line, leaving those 2 tiny circles empty. These little white dots left inside are the highlights in the penguin's eyes. So color in above the smile, keeping the little tiny white dots you drew clean. Then those 2 little white smiles underneath, you're just gonna draw a couple of lines through them. Maybe you can fit 2, maybe you can fit 3. Whatever you do is fine. We're going to start right above the nose, in between the 2 eyes at a point. We're gonna take the point up around the eyes and stop right when you get to where the tip of the beak is. And we're gonna follow that same pattern on the other side. Up and around till you get about the same. I went a little bit further on that one and I will just even them out. That's okay. Then outside of the sides of those, it's kind of like the top of a heart. We're gonna bring a line that starts at the top of the heart shape and comes down straight next to it, and it's the same length as we've drawn in so far on the penguin's head, and we're going to do that on the other side as well. Now our penguin's going to be wearing a hat, so we are going to take and close. Look how I start before the line. I bring a line that's kind of straight but curves slightly up and curves back down. And it is longer than closing just these 2 outside lines, because then I'm gonna curve them in behind the penguin's head on both sides. So all I did was make too long of a line, and then I took this little hook and hooked it behind the penguin's head. Come up off both sides, come in, in, or out, in, out. And then we're gonna close the top of his hat by bringing a curved line across to here. We'll bring a line up for his hat and a line up for his hat. And then depending on how big of a little poof ball you want on top of his hat, just start scribbling these lines up and around like a big poof on top of his hat. When you get it done, go ahead and use that same zigzag to close the bottom of it. Very cute. Now, above both circle eyes, but underneath the heart line, put a tiny little line for his eyebrow. Then, we don't add a mouth because his beak is his mouth, but we are going to put a scarf underneath here. We're going to start with a line that's longer than closing again. But watch what I do when I get just past the beak. Stop, come up, over, down, and then continue out past the line to close it. This is going to be his little scarf. It's going to have a tail hanging down. I'm going to take the ends of both those lines and hook it behind his head. Hook it behind his head. Then we are going to bring a second line out, down, in, out, out, around, in, out. Let's finish this little piece of his scarf. Bring both lines down a little ways and close. We need to close from here to here now, but this is over top, so when you bring a line across, stop when you get to the scarf line, pick it up on the other side so it makes sense, bring this around and across and connect. And then underneath where this rectangle is for the front of the scarf, we're just going to show the back of the tail of the scarf. So you add this little L beside it. On the end of the scarf, let's do a couple of zigzags. Some teeth on there for the tassels on the end of his scarf. Or her, we don't know if this is a boy or girl. Okay? Now, watch where the sides of the penguin's head is. Let's pick up where it makes sense that would connect down here for the body. Let's bring this line down and curve it in. Go to the other side, do the same thing. Bring this line down, curve it in. Then continue that heart shape to the scarf. And you're gonna pick it up just like you did the outside line. I suppose we should close the bottom first. Let's come across here and close the bottom. Pick up the heart line where it makes sense underneath the scarf, bring it down, and then just gently curve it into the bottom. This one is tricky because I think the scarf's gonna be hiding that side on mine, but maybe yours is a little bit different. So just make sure this line makes sense picking up from where it would line up with the line on his face. Let's go up underneath the scarf and bring out a little penguin arm. So we're gonna bring a curve down to a point and bring it back into the body on this side. Come off with a curve to a point on this side and bring it back into the body on this side. And then last but not least, we're gonna do a little penguin foot down here. It's gonna have 3 curves to it. So you come off the bottom of the penguin, curve, curve, curve to close. And the second one, curve, curve, curve to close. And there is one of the sweetest looking little penguins I have ever seen. If you want to add some patterns, you could make his scarf striped. So go in there and add some stripes on his scarf if you would like to. You could do the same thing with his hat brim. You could add pattern up here above his brim. You can come in here and add a couple more details, put some more poof on his little hat. And of course, it's art class. If you want to color this and you have crayons, color it with crayons. If you have colored pencils, use colored pencils. If you have markers, if you have paint, whatever you have to jazz this little guy up would be wonderful. And I don't see why we can't add a horizon line in here. So underneath his flippers, let's go off of the body and just put a line for where the snow is. And there is our lovely little finished penguin draw along. You are welcome to add anything else you want and color it fabulously. I hope you enjoyed our draw along activity. Have a great day.
Oh, no!